confusion and chaos in seconds.
As helicopters whiz by above all of them.
Multiple victims and you're running multiple ambulances.
Police and medic.
I'm a medic, ma'am.
There was another deadly school shooting yesterday at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
We had the most tragic situation that it can occur on a campus at UNC Charlotte.
It's just very heartbreaking. You never think this is going to happen right here at your own school, on the last day of school where everybody's coming out to celebrate.
That day, I actually had a morning class. Well, it was more of like an afternoon class. It was like noon, so I don't know what you want to classify that is, but I had that class, and it was just like, he was talking about like the final exam paper, so I was like, okay, I'll do this like later or maybe this weekend, but obviously that didn't happen.
Probably like, I don't know, 3 o'clock, I took my dog out, and then walked to the library actually. Met up with my group from that class because we were putting the finishing touches on our presentation. We were supposed to present second that day. So we were just making sure our slides looked good, our note cards were good.
I was working the last day of my internship with University Communications. I was video switching for the baseball game that was to be happening that night, and I was sitting in the control room.
I had 2 of my classes when we were reviewing for finals. I had had a project that met for the final time before the final presentation that we were going to be having in a couple days. We were happy to be done. It had been a really crappy project. We'd been working on it, and it finally was done. But we had just been wrapping up, and I was relieved to be done for the day.
The day was pretty normal. I mean, it was a little bit of buzz because the ceramic students were having an opening. Their sign is right up there beside the stop sign. That was the name of their show. Killing it, you know, as in kiln, but, and we were, like, the show had opened, and so we were all upstairs it was in the side gallery in row, so we were upstairs in the lobby area.
I was looking over my shoulder, just kind of out of random, and saw him, didn't know he was going to do that, but saw him kind of walking towards the bathroom, didn't think much of it, and then like 2 minutes later, I think it was like 5:40, so like 10 minutes into class, he comes in, and there was no announcement or anything like that. He just came in, and you saw that he had the gun in his hand and just started firing.
Just 3 really loud shots, basically. And at that moment, I froze. Like, I feel like the room just went quiet for like a second. And that's when a bunch of people started bolting for the door. And I don't really remember like getting up. It was all kind of like a blur to me. I do remember like some pieces of it. But I remember going to the door and like, about like right when I got to the door, I remember falling, and that's when I got trampled.
It was just kind of down a line. Like right when he came in, it was Reed, and then it was at my table.
Yeah, and I did see some stuff when like I was getting trampled, but I don't want to like talk about it.
Kind of before I knew it, I'd been hit, and it took like a couple seconds to register that. And I remember my initial reaction, I just kind of yelled out, like, I just got shot. Like, it just didn't seem real.
I was getting trampled. My classmates were just like running over me. Everyone was just going crazy because we were just trying to get away from the shooter. I remember like getting up on my knees and then like getting up, and then there was like a second set of doors that you have to go through to get out of Kennedy, and my purse actually got stuck on that, and then like, but after that I was able to get out of the Kennedy building, and I remember just running.
You could hear a commotion in the lobby. You didn't really know what it was, and there were people screaming, but I couldn't tell what they were saying, and it was like a relay of people that were closer to the lobby, and they're saying, those students are screaming active shooter.
I saw Emily, one of the other people that was shot, the girl who graduated, she was on the ground as well because we sat next to each other. And it kind of looked like she had blood on her. And, you know, my hearing was kind of going because when you're on the other side of a gun, it's loud and it messes up your hearing. And she kind of mouthed to me, like, did you get hit? And I just kind of like nodded my head, and she said, like I could see her mouth the words, me too. And that was when it hit me so much more, because I was like, it's not just me, like everyone's being affected right now. I remember there was a lot of commotion about where's the ambulance, we need an ambulance. And they couldn't get one on campus because there were still rumors that there was another shooter, and so it was deemed like unsafe. So they picked me up by my shoulders and my legs, put me in the back of a police car, and drove me to the close CMC University Hospital, you know, right down the street.
We had gotten a text message or some sort of something. It was like, they're sweeping the building, the police are gonna come in, don't have anything in your hands, be prepared to have your hands up. Okay. So we're all over in the glazier, or in the advanced studio. They're banging on the door. Police, open the door. And I'm like, don't open the door. Police, open the door. And I'm like, we're not supposed to open the doors.
And I heard the banging of cops on the door. And actually at the time I wasn't sure if it was cops. I thought, I'm not opening that door for anyone. I was like, that could literally be anyone claiming to be the cops. I'm not opening this door.
They're supposed to open the doors. We don't know who that is. That could be anybody saying they're the police. Eventually, the other professor goes and opens the door. And it's fine. But they had no way of getting in, right? And they have guns drawn on us. And we're holding our hands up in the air.
Eventually, my coworker went to the door and he opened it, but I was on the other side of the door where you could see me through the slit. And I saw the gun through the doorway, and the fear I felt in that moment was like palpable, I swear to God. Like immediately I started shaking, and I didn't know what to do. I don't really know how to explain how weird the sensation was to look at the library, a place where I'd spent God knows how many days studying, empty, but full of armed police with shotguns and rifles, motioning me out and looking at all the tables, and every student's belongings were left behind. It was such a weird and surreal experience to see a space like that transformed into something that felt more like a war zone.
Then they march us through sculpture and out by the lake, and it's just, go. I just felt like we were sitting ducks. And then to say, you know, we couldn't leave with stuff in our hands, so we don't have keys, we don't have IDs, we can't go get in our car and go somewhere. That was pretty upsetting to me, and I can't even imagine what it would be like to be a student.
I think that the lack of a call to action regarding gun control is a little bit shameful on both the part of the university as well as just the community. I don't know what form that would take, but the fact that there wasn't much response in that regard is a bit disappointing.
It just feels like everyone's just tried to pretend like it didn't happen and not talk about it and talk about how it affected them.
It's not being talked about. And I mean, we know from therapy that to talk about something is good. You know, I know that they had some group activities where people could come together and tell their part of the story or whatever, but it was almost just like like a facade of helping.
I feel like with so many shootings, people like look at it and then the next day they just live their life like normal.
And the fact of the matter is, like, it's only happened a few months ago. Like, we're all still dealing with the fallout from it. And mainly, I just want to encourage people to talk about it. It all affected us in different ways. We all probably think there's different ways to have prevented it or to prevent it from happening in the future. And we're not ever going to find those unless we talk about it.
For us that were there and for people that like Riley and Reed's moms, they're never going to like be able to like live normally again. And it just like impacts whole communities. But I feel like some people will just like move on and forget. And I'm just like, how can you? How can you just forget? Every time I walk by Kennedy, it's just like, that's where it happened.
Either people are just really good about masking that it's affected them, or they just aren't affected by it. Because, like, I'll walk past Kennedy and I'm almost, like, paralyzed. Like, I kind of have to, like, look up and just take it in, like, that happened there. Whereas, you know, I'll see students walking by, like, laughing and talking and stuff like that. It's, like, doesn't faze them.
Ever since I was on campus here, when the shooting happened, I'm always aware of where I'm sitting in my classroom, and I'm always thinking about my best escape or what I would do in the event that someone walked into this room.
I think about, like, if I'm in a really crowded area, sometimes I just, in the back of my mind, I think, what if something just started to happen right now? What would I do? And I wish that that's not a thought that came into my mind, but it is.
And I know some people, it's just like, well, shootings are normal, and like people try to be like, oh, it's just like how things are, and I'm just like, no, it's not how things are supposed to be.
As a student, I should never have to worry about being shot. It's ridiculous.
It's not normal. It's not normal that we're constantly thinking about this.
Definitely moving forward now, I definitely want to just live my life the best I can, because I know two of my classmates will never get to. Like, I'm studying hard and I'm doing the best I can day by day, just to like be a person that they can be proud of. And I'm sorry, I just got emotional. Because I know sometimes like I complain about studying, but it's just like Riley and Reed will never get to. So it's just like I'm lucky to be here, and I just want to be the best person I can be and just make them proud and live my life the best I can in memory of them.
Just because I was shot by a gun does not mean I'm an expert on guns by any means. But this is just too common.
The guilty part for me was that, like, immediately after realizing this is a thing that did happen, was happening on my campus, was, whew, that's it, good, we're done. And I still feel that way. It's a very emotional feeling to feel that way, like, well, it doesn't really happen right at the same school twice, so we're done.
I think that this occurring here in UNC Charlotte was kind of like a drop in the bucket. As depressing as that is, and the fact that 2 people lost their lives, so it's just a drop in the bucket, is tragic. But I don't see it changing the current agenda for either side.
Something. I don't have anything specific.
I just want change, and I never want anyone else to like have to go through what I went through. Every time I hear of a new shooting, I guess it like resonates with me more, and I hate that.
It's happened here and it won't happen again. That's even a thought in my mind is very disturbing to me.
If you don't actually help, what does it do? What does it do to help what happened? How do you make up for the people who got killed?
Why do we keep letting it happen? Why do we always sit by? What kind of conversations are we having around this? Are we even having them at all? Consider that. Say something, do something. Make a difference.
15 shootings, 19 weeks of school. Sure, the gunmen, they didn't get as much death as they apparently wanted, but who wins in this? Why is this new reality okay? kids determined not to be victims of gun violence. But of course, when a gunman enters a classroom, everyone in there is victimized. It's just about how badly. They drill on what to do now, as you know. Run, hide, retaliate. This is now on the menu of risk awareness, like stranger danger tips, making sure to put a wallet in your front pocket. Practicing for the practical now includes how to deal with someone trying to shoot you in class.